A few days back, we had a solar eclipse, and a few days from now, we are going to have a lunar eclipse. Eclipses are celestial events which occur quite periodically. The scientific explanation is that there is a eclipsing body and there is a eclipsed body. When they come in a straight line, there are two types of shadows, the umbra and the penumbra, and depending on the size, when the umbra falls on the visible parts of a celestial body, and to the inhabitants of earth it could be either the moon or the sun, the moon and the sun get eclipsed. There are religious practices and there are beliefs and faith which take into account even those eclipses which are not visible occurring during daytime and during nighttime respectively for the sun and the moon. The scientific explanation, calculation of when an eclipse will occur have been given by scientists of various nations. The documents suggest that Aryabhat in 5th century AD not only explained the reason of eclipses but also provided a mathematical model of calculating when exactly these eclipses will occur. In Western countries, where these calculations came relatively later, probably 600 or 700 years after the Chinese and the Indians and Egyptians, the behavioral study of planets and interstellar positioning was extended to also measure the eclipses of some of the other planets that are visible. Mars, eclipse of the Venus. If we look at the religious part of it, recently in one of the eclipses, the so-called realists decided to throw the book of religion on the face of the believers, eating during the eclipse period, which is generally prohibited in Indian culture, and also went a step further by eating meat and non-vegetarian stuff to drive home a message that these superstitions is repugnant to modern living. I decided to investigate a little further that whether it is only the Indian mythology which believes in the explanation of solar and lunar eclipses, or are there any other religions and cultures which believe in that. The Indian story for mythology says that during the Samudra Manthan, Swarvanu, one of the demons, positioned himself between the sun and the moon. Sun and moon, which provide light and visibility for the Samudra Manthan. Vishnu was told that here is a demon which is sitting in between, and the Vishnu beheaded this demon. But before that, this demon ate a little bit of the elixir and become mortal. Because this demon was enraged that sun and moon exposed his scheme of drinking the nectar and foiled his plan. So periodically it eats sun and moon, and because below the neck there is nothing, the sun and moon come out. In China, 4,000 years before today, eclipses were predicted. But the common belief even today is that some kind of a unknown dragon comes and eats the sun. And when these eclipses occur, people come in large numbers and beat drums and make large noises to scare away this dragon. As usual, as explained in science, sun and moon again re-emerge after some time, and it perpetuates the belief that this dragon ran away because of the drum beating and because of the noise. In South America, where many of the traditions emerged from the Incan civilization, which is one of the ancient civilizations, Incas worshipped the sun in the form of Inti, I-N-T-I. Inti is known to be a very benevolent, welfare-oriented god. Incans believe, South Americans still believe, Inti, which is the sun god, once in a while get enraged because of the sins and the misdemeanors of the humankind. He shows his power by eclipsing himself. To propitiate him, sacrifices are made, fastings are made, emperors and rulers abstain themselves from work. And even today, many offices, like in India, are closed in South America during the eclipse period. In the Egyptian culture, the eclipses are considered highly inauspicious, and by mandate, they are forbidden from being recorded. In spite of Egypt being astronomically ahead of many other civilizations in the world, they still believe that eclipses are bad to be discussed even. In the American, where the so-called Indian Americans were the original culture bearers, and some of the traditions and cultures in many parts are still followed, the belief is that a mischievous black squirrel comes and eats the sun. Now, for that purpose, again, like the Chinese people come in large number, beat drums, different types of rituals to drive away that inauspicious squirrel. Scientifically, NASA says that there are no recorded evidence of any harm happening to human body by exposure to sunlight or moonlight during eclipse. NASA's finding in this respect was also validated by a Cambridge University study which happened in 2017 total solar eclipse. But one thing that was recorded, that because of the awe that is generated by this celestial phenomenon, sudden change in the circadian rhythms, there is a sense of shock. Looking directly into the sun resulted in blindness, because what is known as retina burn is probably the region of people looking at the sun constantly to find out what has happened in the ancient days, and this impacting their eyesight, leading to a common belief that please don't come out during this. The fact remains that even a scientific mind often depends on religious beliefs and faith to sustain. Science has the muscle to logically prove or unprove something, but faith has the muscle of attacking or impacting where everything else human beings are willing to ignore. In my view, both can coexist together. There is no harm in having the faith while believing in science, or having the science while believing in the faith. Thank you very much.